In today's video, I'll be installing brake rotors, pads, and doing a flush, and I will also be painting the calipers, so stay tuned. So far I have it on the on those ramps, and I got to remove all these wheels, replace the fluid on there. So it's just a matter of time where I, get things sorted, and I'm going with 325s in the rear, 275s up front. They also shipped a human with the tires, as you can see, this fine gentleman over here. And
guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share Farouk's channel. He's got a whole bunch of vlogs coming in for the C6 build, so stay tuned for that.
Exactly. I don't even know what to say after that. All right, so because I don't have a lift or quick jacks at the moment, we're doing it the traditional way in the driveway. I have these pucks to try to mitigate anything that's going to be a problem when it comes to jacking this car up. We're going to put on all 4 jack stands. We're going to put it on the actual I think it's called a curdle. I'll show you guys where I put the jacks. And so if you guys are in your driveway, which most C6 owners are not, they're most likely at a shop, this is exactly where you would put your jacks at. Alright, so first you gotta jack up the car. It's gonna hit something, but that's because there's a flap underneath it. Wow. Essentially, this groove to go in there and then drop the car down in between that. You're putting jack stands on the C6 Corvette. Basically, I like it because the rubber groove just kind of goes in there and it's super secure. Alright, so just like in the front, I'll show you where you want it in the rear. Kind of like in the same spot. There's a little divot up there, if you can see. That's basically where you want to put the jack stands, and then you want to give it a shake. The jack isn't even on it, so it's pretty secure. I already shook the car, it does not move, so I did crack them loose before I got to this part. It's the old tire. First time I ever took that off. You can see it's all cracked over here. It's cracked in the center. I mean, this was literally gonna be a recipe for a disaster. So the tires were the first thing that had to get done, honestly, out of everything. I could have had old fluid, didn't even matter. These things would be the reason why some crazy shit would happen. So the other rear tires, they are 325s, and they look a little bit smaller than these, and these are also 325s, which is OEM for this car. So it's my first time taking off the rear tire. Oh, actually came off pretty easy. Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. And the fact that there's cracks on this, and this is supposed to be a good tire, granted it's 10 years old, so you can't really blame them, but yeah, this is nuts. It's crazy how big these tires are. Okay, so now I have all of the wheels off. Alright, so I just came back from the tire shop. I'm about to get started on all this, but check out these tires, man. Grippy boys. Yokohama Advent V601s. They were a pain to mount because the old tires were 10 years old, but yeah, these things apparently will do really good in the summer, so I'm pretty stoked on that. First thing I'll be doing is I'll be removing the rotors and calipers, sanding and prepping them, and removing the lines from these calipers, because the first thing I actually have to do is get these painted and then hopefully put them on the next day or so. So this video is going to be like a 2-3 day process, but I'm gonna make it as short and simple as possible. So the first step is to actually get these rotors and calipers off. This bolt off, and this bolt off right here. This is going to remove the caliper. After that, we're going to take off this line right here. Just follow this brake line. It's going to connect somewhere back here. Should be a 13 millimeter, and remove the line. And then the caliper comes off, and then hopefully the rotor comes off, and you do actually have to try and remove these, I think, with a flathead. So there's 2 on each rotor. So I'm gonna just show you the whole process for this rotor right now. So the caliper bolts take a 21mm socket. So I'm gonna crack those loose right now. I believe they're torqued to 70 foot-pounds, so I'm gonna use a breaker bar. Hopefully it's gonna be enough to actually take them off. So I got the caliper bolts loose. Try to get a flathead and try and just move away the caliper, the pad from the rotor. Sure that your reservoir cap is off or loose, so where it's not connected to the reservoir, so that this doesn't fight you going on the way back in. So just do that for all 6 pads. But if you have single pads, you just got to go from the middle and just pry it from the middle. But these have 6 individual small pads. I don't know why they did that, but it could be for heat. So basically just exactly what I did here to separate all the pads from the rotor. Okay, so once that's done, we gotta remove these thingies. Pretty much you just kind of do that for both sides and you just remove them because these hold in the rotor. Finally got the rotor off. I'm pretty sure every hardware on this car was about 10 years old. You could see that there's like a little groove on these. These are pretty much done for. The pads are also, they have some life, don't get me wrong, but they are just as old and they don't really stop the car well enough. Their initial bite is good, but when you're going fast or anything, you could just feel how badly these have worn. I'm pretty sure these are OEM, so we're gonna swap them out for the track pads, which of course probably will not bite as hard as these in the beginning, but when they're hot they will. These are just your standard AC Delco pads, I'm sure. Yeah, so this gotta go. This is also a good time I'd like to check the hub. This is running really smooth right now, so that's good. There's no play, everything is smooth. Right here I would put anti-seize. I would even put some like either fluid film or PB Blaster on each stud so they don't rust any further. Just maintenance things that I feel like the previous owner probably went to a singular shop and they didn't do things bad, but they definitely didn't do things right either. So this is our chance to, you know, correct all that. If you're not going to replace your lines, do not have your calipers hanging. I have my car low enough to where the caliper can chill where it's at, but just gonna undo this and then we'll undo this for now, and then back there we're gonna undo that when we're ready to put the new lines on. Alright, this is like video number 9. Okay, so hey guys, this is basically day 2, and here are the rotors we'll be putting in, front, rear. These are EBC, I think BS something, and these are, they even label them right and left. What I'm going to try my best to do is to remove the old line by taking the 10 mil off, and then I actually got these good ridge lines that came with so many different things, and it's a complete installation. Essentially these lines come with like everything, like from those mounting brackets that we're going to remove to the front and rear lines, and then all the copper washers and hardware, banjo bolts, you name it. And then it came with these cone thingies which basically go in between these cone thingies, which basically go in between your line, like your brake line, and your hard line on the actual car. You can see there's like a cone in there. These basically go in between that. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that because I was trying to figure out how that works for a while. This thing held in by a clip. I'm gonna try to get the clip out first if we can. Oh my gosh, this is genuinely crazy. Oh my goodness, that is truly a mission. I kind of used the thicker part of it to get it there, but yeah. Now, at this point, you want to get a 10mm and take this screw off over here. Got the screw out, so don't lose this. I'll just keep it right in this arm area. Just kept it like right there. Okay. You have the clip out and you have the screw out, you just lift up and pull it forward. So because you could pull it forward, it's going to allow you to put 2 wrenches back there. Alright, so for it, all the lines, you're going to have a 15 or a 17 mil for the soft line, and then you're going to have a 13mm for the actual hard line. Perfect. So it should basically crack loose without much force. Hopefully, if your lines are not rusted, and then this line can come off. Because we're going with these Goodrich lines, these they're for the front. This one's for the rear. These are for the rear, and they come with these like little cone brass thingies that basically goes in here facing in. So you kind of just drop it in, wiggle it around, and it should just go in like that. Try to get it like, you know, try to remain in that position. Okay, let's make sure it's all straight. Seems to go in straight. Little annoying to do. So right now it's not fighting me, so that's good. That means that it's in. All right, it is a mission. So whatever, we pursued it. I think it's about to be tightened. Yeah, very nice. Okay, that's pretty tight. And then you're gonna grab your caliper and stuff, and it's gonna go in like this. So that's super tight there. Grab this, lock it into place. Oh, the 10mm bolt with the wrench. Just put it in by hand in the beginning. When you tighten that bolt, you're just going to want to just hand tighten. You really don't want to tighten it really hard on the aluminum or magnesium curdle that it sits on. So I'll just give it a little tightening. If I can get this on correctly. Push this line in, add your clip, you should be gold. That's it. Put the clip in. Now we're gonna actually get our calipers and rotors on. In the meantime, I'm going to check the brake reservoir. Make sure that it is not, seems to be full still. Seems that there's fluid in there. Top off as you need to. Okay, so before we put the rotor on, I like to just put anti-seize on the contact surface. Even though the rotors I got shouldn't really have much of an issue, I still like to just put some on just to Make sure nothing ever gets stuck. You don't want like too much, especially in this e-brake area. Just wipe as you need to. That's pretty much about it. Get it coated like that. And you can also clean the surface as well. This car is pretty low miles, so the surface is relatively smooth, just looks rusty. The rotor, it says left on the rotor. Just gonna put that on there. Cool. Once you get the rotor on, you get these clips that we took off previously. Put them on the actual rotor itself. And it's weird because this arrow faces this way. On the other side, it faces the other way, even though it says left. So I'm just gonna follow what the instructions tell me. Give it a little wipe. These rotors don't have much of a coating on them because they're painted, but we're still gonna get some brake fluid and just clean the contact area a little bit. All right, that should be good. Painted brake caliper, we're gonna get our pads and basically just kind of stick them in. It should look something like that with the pads in. So get the bolt in here and try to just tighten that in. It should catch the threads on the actual caliper, and just give it a few turns, make sure it goes in smooth, and then you're gonna tighten this to 40 foot-pounds. Okay, so now you want to grab your bolt. I'm trying to do this as fast as I possibly can, and then you're gonna fit this through your brake line. And these have a 14mm socket versus the 13mm that OEM is. I'm gonna go like this. So basically gonna put that through, put the other washer in, and try to get it lined up as best as you can. Okay, so once the caliper is connected, it should look something like this. Give you a close-up. That clips in there. That's the line going straight into the caliper. So the only thing I really learned doing this is tighten the caliper line first, then tighten the hard line side, because it has to like tweak and adjust, especially if you're doing braided lines. Other than that, it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. But of course, anything with brakes is always going to be some complications or something you run into. But overall, looking good. We got the rear looking pretty good, and then the front as well. So I just got to do the other two sides, but it's the same procedure basically for all four. Okay, so this is basically the third day. This is like gonna be one video though, but this car is literally beating me up. Like, it's so crazy. But we did get all the brakes on. I pressure tested everything. I bled them, and I did get the tires on the wheels. They are fresh. I just cleaned these. I just washed like the inner barrel, outer barrel, and yeah, these are the Yokohama Advent Apex. Pretty good, like grippy tire. Even the compound's like really soft. So this is going to be interesting to see how that's gonna do. Also have the brake lines. There's no leaks. I did clean the wheel wells as well. But yeah, this is basically what it should look like. These lines didn't necessarily flare out, so I had to kind of just like have them point that way. I don't even know if I was really supposed to, but when I was turning the wheel, the line seemed to be in a relaxed position, so all that worked out. And then even on this side is a little bit more on the upward, but this will work too. So yeah, all the lines are pretty relaxed. That's basically like the most important thing. So yeah, for all 4 of them, you basically don't want to tighten anything. You just want to get the line on, but not tighten it. Like, have it loose, like 4 threads, and then bolt that in, but still have it loose. And then just kind of, the line's gonna want to chill where it wants to chill. From that point, you would tighten the caliper first while giving it like a slight upward positioning, and then you'll go tighten that. And then the upward positioning is so you don't ever hit the axle, because there's very potential that it could hit the axle, maybe not actually. But all right, yeah, that's pretty much there. So other than that, it's been like a crazy journey. I'm just gonna put the wheels on and go for a little test drive. So last thing I really wanted to mention is apparently the ABS needs to be purged. I do have the computer for it, but I was also like, when I went on Google, it said you don't have to as long as your reservoir was kept filled with fluid, so which it was. So we're gonna jack it down. Worst case scenario, we gotta jack the car up all over again, but we shouldn't have to. The brake fluid was already brand new, so there should be really no need, but we'll see when we jack it down. I feel like there should be more thread, but this is OEM, so I guess I don't know how I feel about 100 foot-pounds, but this is basically what we're going to torque it to, so we'll see what happens. That's the wheel on. So now we're just going to steer the steering wheel and look to see if the lines make contact when this thing is turning. Alright, so went for a test drive, and the brakes, honestly, holding up pretty good. Just a far up shot. Wow, that looks mean. That looks so sick with the blue. Yo, this car is literally, it came out so sick. It's a pretty simple process, but the end result is super sick. Like, you could just tell, like, I'm so stoked on how these came out.